Adam Dawson is our next presenter. If you were here last year, and if you're partaking of the beverages in the back, the alcoholic beverages in the back, they are the libations. Our thanks to Adam and John Renthrope, who was in our class last year. John just run, or the team just won. I don't know how it worked. The team just won the what did they call it? The food challenge, the Propeller Food Challenge, just at the beginning of this month. So they're on their way. So John presented the full project last year, and he's going to give a little bit of a summary, and then Adam is going to proceed with the next.
How's everybody going? We're almost done this evening. We definitely have some more beer to go, so lighten up the keg so we don't have to take that home, and this would be great. So I wanted to announce our first project that we're building together, which is the Culture Hub in New Orleans East. It's located on the I-10-510 junction of the interstate. It has an ESRI index of 120,000 cars passing by it every day on I-10 and 105,000 cars on I-510. So it has definitely high visibility. Again, my name is Adam. I'm born in New Orleans. I'm 31 years old. Graduated from St. Augustine High School. I was the last class right before Hurricane Katrina, so I graduated in May 2005, and then my life changed. And then from there, I went to the University of Florida, but John, he graduated from St. Augustine, but he had a different experience than I, because he had to go to school with girls at Baton Rouge. And then from there, he made a conscious decision to come back to St. Augustine and go to the Max, and he got a full scholarship to the University of Florida, and this is how a road formed and its origin. And then I'll say this, and he will attest, but you don't know anyone until you live with someone. So as far as not having brothers in my life, I definitely have one now. So this is New Orleans East Culture Hub. It's going to be a space full of live energy. It's going to be a space full of exciting times, shared stories, and just a lot of different cultural fields. This is Chief Shaka Zulu. He is a Maasai Indian of the Golders of the tribe. He was a big chief of the Yellow Pocahontas. He had tutelage under Darrow, Montana, as well as Tootie, Montana. But this was his space. It was located on North Rampart, but due to rising rents, a lot of French Quarter construction, his space is no longer existing. I was fortunate enough to do an event that made Viceland Beerland there, so I'm glad that we were able to capture that moment forever in time. But that moment right there set me on a pathway that this is a true calling of mine. So just preserving not only the suits, but just having a good time in a different space. And I know there are different museums and galleries that do have suits around, and it is a hot thing to do because it is something uniquely to us. But like Shaka told me earlier today on the phone, if you're born in New Orleans, it's your birthright. So regardless of who you are, where you come from, or whatever creed, it's still your birthright because this is uniquely us and what makes us so unique in the world. And again, the ornate bead work is one of a kind, is world renowned, as well as, the main mission of everything is pretty much preserving the rich histories of New Orleans, the known and the unknown, that are either historically accurate or culture at its root. So that is a strong statement to say that we don't want to go into the semantics of the details, but just telling the narrative like it is and letting history stand the test of time. I took about 9 art history classes in college, and I'll say this, that those that did it right, you still hear about them. So that's where we're at right now, and I'll just say that this project would be a disadvantaged business project. We will hire a minority contractor, as well as it was listed in the Opportunity Zone, but as further research from my friend Pierre informed me today, we're right outside the Opportunity Zone. For those people who want to invest in the Opportunity Zone, this is a prime location for you, because not only can you save on your taxes over there, but then you got some good beer over here. So, we're going to make it work.
How far outside?
Right outside. It's almost like it's like hopscotch kind of. You throw a rock and you kind of just jump over. So it's similar. So, yeah. So this is exactly. So this is a place where art can live, where spirit, passion, and culture can thrive, where untold stories can thrive. With only just a short drive here to the eastern sea, because we won't bow down because we don't know how. And that is a testament as I've been editing a lot of these different videos. I'm hearing the songs, I'm hearing the conversations in the background that I'm picking up, and I'm hearing the importance that might not necessarily be able to be monetized correctly. And I think I came up with a great monetization, and that's going to be in just a second. But as our neighborhoods are changing, and this whole class is about neighborhoods changing and affordable housing and people coming in, what are happening to those stories? What are happening to the people that not only are just elderly in the neighborhood, but those people that just really didn't pay attention to it because whatever else caught their attention. New Orleans is a very distracted place. So, you know, once you finally realize what you had, then it's like, wow, I want to do this, and it's kind of too late because you kind of had your chance, but you was kind of distracted. So this is a resource where you can enjoy beer and be distracted by that, as well as really learn and learn a orated history that not many know, even inside the culture. So New Orleans East has 18 cultural art locations, and this is an amazing thing to see, that there are 17 of them are churches and one that is a funeral home. Yes, I said that right. When you go on the NOLA-BA economicdevelopment.org website, you search cultural art centers are located around New Orleans East, you find 18. Out of those 18, I actually counted one by one. 17 are churches, which are the community centers, and one being the funeral home of Dwyer and Shell. So like in that little area. But there's nothing really for culture, but it's labeled as culture. So I want to actually define what culture is and actually bring it and hold it to its standards. And again, this is just an emulation of a proxy museum at the, I forgot the name of the studio that this was at, but pretty much Chief Shaka, he imports the suits to different locations. And wherever somebody's willing to give him a chance to actually, you know, host or have the suits, he brings them there. He loads them up on the back of the truck, but these are something that's so uniquely ordained. They're one of ones. It shouldn't just be put on the back of a, you know, a Tundra. I know they're good with like everything, but these suits really need to be really stored correctly and actually give a chance to breathe, not only with height location and height clearance, which our brewery will provide, or our cultural hub space will provide, excuse me. Again, what makes me qualify for it, I'm a very highly creative individual. I'm a visual artist by trade and major. I've taken 9 art history classes, so I understand the importance of documenting and documenting accordingly. I specialize in graphic design, web design, merchandising, print, photography, and videography. So I'm a one-stop shop as far as propaganda is concerned. I just recently created a videography company while in this class called Say Red Studios, where I'm pretty much specializing and documenting for good. And then I'm also a co-founder of Cajun Pie Growing Company, and that's another story I'm gonna get to in just a second. And I've been working on my own personal relationship with 8 different tribes to where I could call the big chiefs and I could get invited to their house for, you know, turning down offers like, man, I can't even make that one. So it's not just Chief Shaka Zulu angrily, but Chief Shaka Zulu is in the best position as far as his overall body of work. With being featured on National Geographic, selling out the Orpheum Theater for Voices of Compass Square in the 300 play, creating, and then also just bringing African steel drums to the city of New Orleans, as well as a slew of other things. But getting down to the property and where we're located at, a lot of people have asked, but we're located on the I-10-510 junction, which is on the way out of the city, so depending on which way you're coming in, we're either the last thing going or the first thing coming. And if you go around here, we have 9.47 acres of land, and Cajun Pire's development is going to be on this side here, and all of this is still available space. It's zone C3, so we could do pretty much anything there. You know, as Kelly was saying, I mean, sky's the limit except a winery or brewery. Together, that is the limit, you know, as far as us. But outside that, we have full site control. We have over 100,000 cars that pass the location every day. We're right outside of an opportunity zone, forgive me. We have SBA commitment towards our property. And according to NeighborhoodScout.com, we're a part of the top 92 percentile of neighborhoods in the state of Louisiana as far as economic GDP. And that is the Eastover, Lake Forest, Bullitt area, not to be confused with the Little Woods area that's on the other side of the interstate. New Orleans East has about 90,000 homes in it, and we've done the math even with the brewery. We'll break even on any kind of loan just selling within New Orleans East, 1 6-pack, you know, per house, and then if you really add that up, it values out. So New Orleans East is in much need of a space and some much needed development, and we've been fully independent on our track. We've definitely had the long road, and we wouldn't take it any other way at this point. So we have the tap room space, which is also going to act like a beer history museum. This is the segue element between Cajun Fire. I left those plans out of it to focus more so on this. So where I'm standing at will be the Cajun Fire side of the build-up, and then the segue in between will be the tap room on one side, and then John, he's also got into the curating of museums, and he's building the first Black History wine, beer, and food history museum as far as Black's influence on the overall culinary and spirit industry. And then that would lead into either the main entry from the street, which is the service road, and you come directly into this foyer area, and we have an event space. And the event space will have a prep station, as well as women and men's bathroom, as well as a larger women's and men's bathroom for actual like clubhouse storage. So when we get into event space rentals, you just take a partition wall out the way and have either a large location with nice spot lockers and everything as such. From there, it goes out the door into an outdoor courtyard. An outdoor courtyard is really the sellable feature because if you look back, we have nothing but land. So since we have ample space to develop in the courtyard, we'll have this pretty much a hard bite of what Brazos has in the French Quarter as far as that fire mountain and water. That is actually a nice touch amenity in French Quarter, so don't be surprised if you see that in the east. And from there, with this space total, this is how it looks in actual fashion, and then there's going to be 2,527 square feet space available for an outdoor courtyard, as well as 1,389 feet available for an indoor gallery space, and that's where Chief Shaka can have the suits, as well as they're going to be infused in the walls. So as far as actual utilization of space, we've talked with CDW as well as Chris Walker, and he came up with a great design as far as recessing the suits into the walls where they won't be impacted by whatever event is there, and they'll be stored properly and correctly. So with this space, I mean, we can, inside alone, we can seat 44 guest banquet style, as well as we can do 75 standing in a reception style. And outside, we can seat 80 guest banquet style, or we can do 250 standing. So all in all, we can have a space of 325 guests in an event that can actually be sustainable, not only for the beer to serve in the adult beverages, as well as full-on occupancy to where, if you're from New Orleans, the vintage Roche days kind of come to mind. And that's kind of aim. So to do all this, the acquisition was already included with the land with Bridgeforest Investment Corporation, which is a private equity company. So for me, I'm inheriting a zero cost as far as acquisition. However, our cost, which is including some of the prefab, the development, the equipment to make sure it's right, and everything along those lines, is about $374,000. And then the soft cost between the architect fees as well as the engineering and a lot of other stuff with landscape, architecture and everything comes out to it being $336,849, total of $711,409. I'm taking on the debt of 6% or $41,550, and I already understand that as an artist, starving artist street is a real thing, and it's nothing no different than what I'm opposed to as far as it just is the artist kind of way. It's kind of the love for it. So I value what a salary would be, what I have to invest in. I'll just say that's my debt, because at the end of the day, the real payday is K-5 growing, and so this is why this will be able to sustain. And with it being full site control, the fear of actually having rent runs out is no longer a possibility. So, and then out of that, we have, out of our sources, we have the SBA covering 43% of the build out. We have, that is actually a very strong, accurate number to what this is, and the culture hub, I forgot to mention, is 39% of the overall total build out cost of K-5 growing. And from there, we're looking for a bank investment to bring in that 35%, that $249,000, a sweet deal, right under $250. So this was the price is right, come on down. and then finally, the equity involved in it, and that's pretty much already year to date, pretty much translating not only the efforts and work that John and I put in, but also his parents to get the land grade, and just really broke that cost appropriately 39% over everything. And then it magically got us to $711,409. So a little bit more detailed, our break-even point to where we actually start seeing the return on everything is year 7. But right out the gate, just the lectures alone, we're going to make about $162,000 a year. And this is me hard stacking it to the where most unrealistic stuff, where we're moving 90 days, only 3 times a month, only 50 people, kind of kids mostly. So I did everything along those lines. We have a gallery general admission where it'll break in about $28,000 a month. And then our event rental space, it would also bring in about $207,000 a month with an effective gross income of about $383,404.69 in year 1 total profit as well as the net gross income. And then Yeah, after the net operating account, the NOI is 1,042,009, and then you go all the way down to the end. It's still, you know, rolling. And after year 7, it goes right on cue with a lot of other plans that we have. But I have everything broke down as far as the frequency and just pretty much the total where the costs are going. A little bit bigger, so we just so you can kind of see for yourself. Even if we did stipend programming, which is $7.20 for kids, or $25 for an adult. So if you had to take a daddy-daughter date, as John, I've learned a lot about daddy-daughter stuff, you want to be under $40. You want to get to about 42 tops. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that the space was not only affordable, but it made sense. And it made sense over here to where, regardless, you would range between $12,000 if you just did 100% of shows for a year off of children, or $45,000 off for stipend adults. And then we have the regular admission for, since we are the tourism capital of the world, and we are in partnership with 2 Rome schools, 2 tour bus companies, as well as the Creole Queen Cruise Line. Lastly, going down here, I have visual aids about just John and I, but again, John Renthrope, he's my business partner. He's a member of the United Nations Home of Indians. He's the CEO of Cajun Fire Brewing Company. He's been internationally recognized as a brewmaster by trade. He was just nominated as University of Florida 40 Gators under 40 honoree this year, as well as he graduated from the College of Liberal Arts with political science. So, and we also created the first black-owned brewery company in Louisiana and the U.S. South, as well as the Gulf Coast, no matter how you want to spend on what demographic, but it's fifth in overall history from 1922 forward. So John serves as the lead manager as Cultural Hub on this, as well as he is the CEO of Bridge Forest Investment Corporation. And Bridge Forest Investment Corporation is a privately owned S corporation. The principal owner is Troyana Renthrope, which is John's mom, based on the last name, as you can see. And then the company was incorporated in 2015, and they have a slew of experience. But yeah, from there, we were under contract with Southern Eagle Distributors. We have a manufacturer in Virginia to produce our product Cajun Fire, so to sustain us in New Orleans East, outside the cultural element, we will have beer rolling in. We have a distribution deal here. As well as to date, we've managed to get this far with no outside capital support, outside of a few grants here or there. We expect to be profitable with Cajun Fire Brewing Company within the first 2 years, as well as capture 2% of the total craft beer market in the state of Louisiana. So that is outside of what the Culture Hub will bring. And if you ran the attendance numbers, what I just said, the Culture Hub alone will generate 19,992 visitors alone, based on just the performer with the money coming to New Orleans East, and that's not including our tap room, as well as people generally coming off the side of the interstate and wanting to just get a beer. So the dynamic of everything Chief Shaka Zulu, Chief Shaka and Naima is integral figures within the Mardi Gras Indian culture for over 15 years. They had Shaka has 19 years and learned how to sew from Big Chief Tootie, Montana. He operates a feather fund as well as he attached and created his own Better Family Life nonprofit, and he has a New Orleans charter here, so we have a nonprofit that can get involved in the mix. Shaka and Naima are both performing artists by trade and profession, and created a full Broadway production called Voices of Congo Square, as well as they're world-renowned as culture ambassadors. And today I'm seeking $249,132 to help make the Culture Hub a reality and not just pictures on a screen. So, you know, we have funded in the East for culture centers, but let's really make this one a culture center. So again, my name is Adam Dawson. I'm one of the curators, developers of the Culture Hub, as well as Cajun Fire Brewing Company. My email is here, as well as John Renthrope. That's his contact email here. And, yeah, there we go.
With the displacement of folks from, you know, the core of the city, I'm Tremaine, I'm the second ward, those neighborhoods in Central City, like the neighborhoods that, you know, host the cultural traditions to the east. I think that's a great opportunity to bring those folks and like start a second line in the east. Like, as you were saying, this is all I can think about, like, there's no second line in the east, but the people who second line are out there, you know, so I think, you know, like a great partnership, a community partnership with this would be, you know, like kind of start something like that, and, you know, it's a way to bring the community in and get to know, community.
Definitely makes sense. That's a good idea.
Any other questions?
We should have more beer in the back.
Yeah. particular project and the larger project is that it's considered a SIN business, and so some of the funding sources are not allowed to invest. Am I stating that?
That's
correctly?
correct. This is a sin-based business to some.
However, it's the first black-owned brewery in the state of Louisiana, and they've done an incredible amount of work. So.
But this Culture Hub is not a sin-based element.
It is not a sin-based element.
Because there is a firewall to separate the sin and.
Yeah,
Daddy daughter.